Dude, Jan, so pumped
How
that
you
you're here.
doing? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, listen, the fun conversations that we've had, I didn't even realize how much fun those conversations were. I went back and saw a couple and listened to them and kind of growing up as teenagers in the 90s.
Yeah,
Yo, that
yeah,
was,
very different time back then.
yeah, you could get away with a lot more things. There was no social media. You couldn't get caught doing anything.
Oh, I probably wouldn't have the job I have now if people had videos of me from my childhood.
For real.
I don't think a lot of us would be able to have a job the way that we do now if we
Yeah,
caught everything on film when we were younger.
mhm.
And we talked about it a little bit, right? Like it was just fun. You went out with your friends, music, the hitting, I don't know. We went to there was a lot of beaches around here, so we went to the beaches. We pulled our 4x4s up on the beaches, had bonfires, messed around, did some stuff that we weren't supposed to do, drank a little bit too much. And I think our stories differ in just a way that I was in sports at that time, like high level sports. So I
Mhm.
couldn't get away with too much. I think you got away with a little more.
Yeah, I think it's very much just the culture in Scotland, though. Well, not even just Scotland, but the UK in general. As soon as you're a teenager, it's drinking, it's just partying. It's not. It's very just like ingrained in the British culture of just going out and getting drunk every single weekend, drinking in parks, drinking at skate parks, beaches, woods, whatever you can get your hands on
What's the
alcohol.
age what's the age limit there?
18 for alcohol.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but you get your hands on alcohol when you're like 13 years old in Scotland.
And, and you said you stopped doing sports 16?
Yeah, I played I played tennis and I played rugby up until I left school, and I left school just before my 16th birthday. So that's when I just stopped drinking altogether. And I was already like a heavier set kid anyway. And then when I stopped playing all sports and left school, it was just drinking, college, and gaining a lot of weight until my early 20s.
What you were in a lot of sports though, right? You were in like all like dude sports like rugby.
Yeah, played rugby. Yeah, played rugby for our county. Played tennis. Did shot at for like track and field events. Yeah, growing up.
That's awesome. And then you just were like, "Hey, I'm not gonna play sports. I'm gonna mess around in my teens." And then
Yeah,
what got
not a conscious decision to do that, but there's honestly not much to do, especially where I am in the Highlands in Scotland. Like unless you're in like a school, there's no like additional like clubs that you can go and play sports. It's literally just if you're in school, there's a team that you can play for, and if you're not in school, then it's pretty much an like impossibility to play like a team sport. So it was just drinking and hanging around skate parks and
chasing girls?
yeah, yeah. But it's hard to chase girls when you're like 350 pounds.
That was your biggest that you got up to?
Yeah, between 330 and 350. Yeah,
And that was what? It was in your 20s that you decided to.
yeah. I was about 19, 20 when I was like thought like I need to change something here.
And then how did you go about doing? Was it CrossFit that you did it?
No, I didn't start CrossFit until like 2017. So I'd been in like fitness for a long time, like before I ever like stepped foot in an affiliate. I watched CrossFit from like 2012 until for about 5 years before I even stepped foot in an affiliate. I started. I lost a lot of weight, all the wrong ways of losing weight by excessive cardio, extreme dieting, partying all weekends. So I wasn't eating like Friday to Sunday, and then I was just drinking and doing all the wrong things. And it wasn't until I was in my mid-20s that I started actually like realizing like all the mistakes that I had made, because it just led down to like loads of different like other issues with like eating disorders and things. I'd gone from like over 330 to under 150 pounds, and was like just looked like a skeleton, and then just like weight yo-yoed for years. And it's only been the last like few, I would say, since lockdown, that I've actually like, you know, got a handle on all that. There you
That's
go. That.
and so well, and you talked about the yo-yo, right? So you lost the weight.
Laugh at PK's comment. How much cocaine did you snort?
Did I? I'm not even gonna go there. But you talked about that yo-yo. So that to me, there's an emotional component to weight loss, right? So there's some emotional thing that you have to deal with in order to be able to handle like being okay with losing weight. Like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to focus on my health. I'm going to focus on my well-being. And if you don't have that, if you don't have a handle on that, it could be very difficult.
Oh,
I
100%. Yeah, 100%. If you're not in the right headspace to do it, but in saying that, you need to be doing the correct steps. Like you need to be doing the physical part to get the mental part as well. They come hand in hand. It's like a fine balancing act. If you're not putting in the work, you're not going to get in that right headspace. But if you're just sitting around trying to wait to be in the right headspace without doing the work, you're never going to get there either. That is very much. I was going about it all the wrong ways when I was young, because it was from a point of just wanting to lose weight rather than actually change habits, change lifestyle, actually deal with like what was going on inside, you know, like emotionally, like mental health kind of wise, you know. And it took a long time to kind of realize that.
And so you did. So you said like you would lose the weight, then you would gain the weight again, then you would lose the weight a little bit. You said your lowest weight was you were around 152 to 156.
Yeah, 152 was like the lowest I ever got. Yeah, I fluctuated between 156 and about 170 for years, like pretty like healthily. And then when I started powerlifting, that's when my weight would go up and down, just depending on like what the goals were. It wasn't until my son was born 10 years ago that default habits came back into play, and I gained like a big chunk of weight back.
And you said that you started working with you had two different things. You were working with adults that had learning disabilities, and then you also worked with the elderly for a little bit. How how did you go? How did you get there?
Well, I've grown up around like care. Like my mum owns like nursing homes and whatnot, and it wasn't ever a job I saw myself going into, just because I've been around it like from such a young age. And then I went and done mechanical engineering in college. I left school when I was 15 years old, and I went to do mechanical engineering. And I heard Jon put a special needs kid in a wheelie bin. That's from the Ricky Gervais podcast.
Yeah.
Now I know who Braille and Tender is. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so my mum we grew up around in care homes, just because my mum owned them. And then I went and did mechanical engineering. 2 years into doing that, I was like, this isn't for me. Like, I needed to work with people, and at that point, they just built a unit that was for like complex needs. So it was like adults with learning disabilities, and like I just loved working. You know, I like being around like the environment, and then I just worked. I worked my way up in that industry, like in the care industry. Where I moved away to Glasgow, which is about 3 or 4 hours away from where I live, and ran a service for a company called Scotland Nursing there. And then when I moved back home to my hometown, my mum had sold the one business, and she'd opened up and nursing home. So it was elderly care. So it was just a natural kind of progression to go into that. That's how I ended up in working in care. No other reason than it just kind of fell in my lap because it was like around us all the time.
What type of learning disabilities did the adults that you worked with have?
Anything from Down syndrome, autism, Prader-Willi syndrome, or there was like more like complex needs, like physical disabilities that we worked with. It wasn't just like neurodivergent people or like Down syndrome. There was a lot of like physical disabilities and stuff that we worked with as well. Yeah, like you name it, we worked with it.
Gotcha. And then you became a coach.
Yeah, so like that was always like when I lost a lot of weight and then started like powerlifting. I was actually the reason I got into coaching was just through wanting to learn about my own like injuries. I was in a nasty car accident that left me needing back surgery, and as much as the NHS is great, you get free healthcare. It's you're left waiting a lot of the time. So I was 18 months like on and off, not being able to walk, sleeping on the floor, like not being able to put my shoes and socks on. And I eventually just had saved up enough money, and I went private and paid for my own back surgery. And then through the rehab process, buying different books from the Dr. Stuart McGill, the back doctor. You might see him on like Squat University videos and stuff.
Yeah, I've seen
that. Yeah. Reading about how to rehab my own injuries, I just got like really ingrained into like the anatomy and physiology side. And then because I was in powerlifting, I was just like, I like wouldn't mind doing that as a profession. So then I decided when I was 30 years old, I just before my son was born, I thought I had another like 4 months until he was born. I just signed up for my PT course, and then he came along. So I had to postpone it for about a year, and then when I was 31, I went and done my PT course.
How long was the rehabilitation for your back? Like, what happened to your back?
So I got my.
Oh yeah, hold on. Can you? I missed it. Can you? They can't see you. Can you roll
sorry,
into the camera?
There we go.
There you
they
go.
want to see your whole face.
Yeah, they want to see your whole face.
I'm trying to. I love swing ball.
But yeah, what was the rehabilitation like for your back? Was that?
It was pretty long. The surgeon at the time said that I wouldn't return to like deadlifting or heavy squatting. I had my L4, L5 discs, I had disectomies, and then I had my S1 joint like fused, which wasn't very fun. But
Your which one?
S1, I believe it is. I could go and look at I've got my doctor's
no.
notes. Yeah, I think it's my S1 was fused, and yeah, that was. I'd fallen as much as the car crash was to blame. I'd also fallen off the roof of a lorry when I was drunk about 3 months prior, and I'd cracked my coccyx. So I think that teamed with the car crash just was a recipe for my back to go.
Oh, so that was your butt bone. I had my C6 and my C7 are fused, but that's like up here, the top of my neck. Like that's your whole butt bone was fused.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, that's not
so
good.
then powerlifting with that, like the squat, the pull, you were good to go. You were just like, hey, I feel good after the
about 6 months after I'd returned to like proper lifting. Yeah.
Was it easy to get like your strength back, or did you milk it for a little while and just?
No, I was relatively new to powerlifting when I hurt my back, so I'd only just kind of started.
Okay.
And then I loved it, and then that's what I wanted to get back to. But he told me I wouldn't be able to do it. That was more of like spurred me on to do it. But since then, I don't know how many times I've hurt my back now, but yeah, for a long time, my back was fine while lifting. The back surgery didn't hinder it at all.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's awesome. Me too. I figured it out. I mean, it hurt my hand a little. Like I don't have. I had a little nerve damage to my hand because it touched my spine. But other than that, it's. Oh, do you want to here? Jake Chapman, Jan, my son keeps asking when he's gonna speak to the toilet man again. Don't want to explain.
Yeah, I can explain that, yeah. That's a good idea. I'm glad he said the toilet and not the shower man. During one of mine, me, Jake, and PK's, I think Heidi might have been on that call as well. I was having a pee in the gym toilet while on FaceTime to them, and then Jake took his son onto the call. So Heidi was asking why I was peeing in front of a child. There we go. There's it. There's yeah. I don't have a vasectomy. I didn't get a vasectomy. Fuck's sake.
Do you miss your foreskin? That's another.
I don't miss it. I don't miss it at all. Another podcast.
That's another podcast. Yeah, that's y'all's podcast. When are y'all starting that podcast?
No, that'll get cancelled straight away.
Oh, so many questions, but we're gonna get to the boy questions, the son questions in a second. But just want to get. You said you got into coaching in 2015.
Yeah, that's when I started like coaching people. Yeah.
High Rocks and CrossFit, or just CrossFit?
No, I literally did my first High Rocks like a year ago.
You didn't? Oh, you didn't coach your first High Rocks till a year ago?
I only did my first one a year ago. High Rocks only came around in 2018.
Oh.
It's very new, yeah.
Okay, so you started coaching with CrossFit, and
no,
now
I just started coaching general population clients, just like global gym, just squat, bench, deadlift.
Okay.
Just that kind of style.
Oh yeah, personal training.
Yeah, yeah. So I just do personal training. I've never worked in an affiliate. I've got my L1, but I've never worked in an affiliate.
Ever want to?
I thought about opening one, and then I actually got knocked back for a few units over the last kind of like 2 years, and then I'm actually quite glad now. It annoyed me, and it was like disappointing at the time, but now thinking about it, I don't want to be like in that gym all the time. A lot of my clients are online. A lot of them are like I still see one-to-one like each week, but I've got that freedom and like financial stability that I can spend as much time as I want with my son. And that's the only reason I would ever have a gym, is to be more financially, stable, help more people, but it's going to come at the cost of time, and I don't want to give away that time.
And you only have one kid, or is it just Adam?
Just one, yeah, just Adam.
You did good. He's I would love to bring up pictures of him, but Instagram won't let us. So but he's a beautiful boy with red hair, even more jet red than
very, very red. Mine's a much lighter red. His is a very, very vibrant red. Was he always red from the minute he got hair?
Yep. Yeah.
It's so.
I tell everybody he's the posties son.
Is your wife red? Is who in your family's red?
No, nobody. Well, my uncle is, and my cousin is, and her granddad's brother was.
Okay, so it's in there.
I asked that at the doctors. I was like, how do we get a redhead? He was like, it's nothing to do with a parent being a redhead. It's a recessive gene that people have. Like when I grow my beard really long, it goes like a gingery kind of color, but his partner, yeah, it's my partner. Yeah.
Beasterfield, I'd take either. So your son's red or Colleen's red. I'll take either. Every third gen. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Every third gen over here is a red. Yeah. And I saw he definitely, you said he came early, right? He came early. Yeah. He was pretty little.
He came he was 1 day shy of being 3 months early.
And he weighed, well, you said 556 grams, so I had to look that up, and it was 1.2 pounds.
Yeah, it was like it's like 1.2 pounds. Yeah.
So could you even like hold him? Where
Yeah. He was in an incubator for the first 2 months, like a sealed one. So you'd have like the two holes that you can put in,
Wait.
like your hands in the sides. Yeah, but it was like a sealed one. So there was the whole like scrubbing up every time, and he was fed every hour. So you were like scrubbing up every hour to go in with his gastric feeding tube in the tiny little. It's a 0.1 mil syringe for the first like 3 weeks. He was on a 0.1 mil syringe, so it was 0.01 mil every hour. So every 10 hours he was only getting 1 mil of milk, and then after that, a few days, then it would go up like. So he was getting like 1.1 mil, and then it would be like 1.2. It was all the way up until he was then getting like fed like a full bottle when he was maybe about 3-4 months old. Yeah.
Was he delivered naturally, or was it an emergency?
No. We went in. It was before our 28-week midwife appointment. We went in to get a 4D scan, just as a like souvenir. So it's separate from like a medical appointment. You can get a 4D like scan. We went in. It was like a Sunday afternoon in the hospital, and the lady doing the scan said, "I can't tell you anything that's going on, but because this isn't a medical appointment, it's like just getting photographs." Yep. And she was like, I would suggest you go to like accident and emergency and tell them that I've sent you because like something's wrong with your pregnancy."
Yeah.
And then so she couldn't actually tell us anything. So we went and they kept Haley in overnight. Her blood pressure was like bottomed out. They were actually still surprised that she was like functioning, but she actually felt okay at that time. And then they kept her in. That was a Sunday afternoon. They kept her in until the Thursday. And then they said that they would send her home on the Friday morning. And then they phoned me to say that she was ready to come home. And they said everything was okay. And I think they must have went to do one last check. And by the time I'd driven from the house to the hospital, which is about 20 miles, they were like, "We're sending you to a different hospital," which is about 4 hours away. And I was like, "What's going on?" And they were like, "Your baby needs to come, but we're not confident in the doctors in this hospital to deliver it."
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was that was December 16th, and he was born on the 23rd. So they managed to keep him in until the 23rd, and then they delivered him on the 20th. So that was the 16th, and they were trying to keep him in as long as possible, obviously to give him a better chance. But then it got to the point where they would need, like, Haley's health was at risk, and so
Your
was
wife
his.
was in danger. Yeah.
Yeah.
That must have been just devastating for her to feel that, and then you feel helpless too. You know.
Yeah. At the time, you don't even have time to think about it.
Yeah.
It's like after, like I'm talking like it was like 2 or 3 years after that it really kind of like hit me like what had happened.
Yep.
Once things had kind of like settled down a little bit.
Yeah, because you're just on that adrenaline, that fight or flight, just moving through the day, taking every conversation for what it is, trying to just listen to what the information is without going off and, thinking too much or creating more stuff that's going on. And so when you got to the hospital, the second hospital, so not the one, but when they were going to actually deliver him, did they give you an idea of how long that they were going to try to keep him in? Or was it really like a day-to-day kind of monitoring?
Like they were in the room every hour. So they were like intaking Haley's like blood pressure. She was hooked up to like BP monitor. She had like oxygen sats on, and they were coming in and doing regular scans of her stomach and whatnot. And they were giving her like steroid injections, basically to try and make Adam stronger, but to also like keep him in and keep everything like stable. Mm-hmm. And then we weren't able to stay in the hospital. That was the 16th. So I was stayed 2 nights in a hotel, which was like close by. And it wasn't until the 3rd day that one of the nurses told me, she was like, "Why are you staying in a hotel? You can have a room in the hospital too." So at that point, I had a room in the hospital from like this 18th of December up until we left on like the 2nd of March.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that wasn't. We didn't leave to go home. We left to go back to the original hospital when Adam was big enough to travel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she was, so they decided to deliver him because her health, her what was it, her blood pressure just was constantly
Yeah,
out?
they didn't. They said she would bottom out, which she might like her health would be at risk, but
Yeah.
also they would risk losing her and Adam. So
Right.
they didn't like take Adam out because they didn't know that outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
How did you do with it? You know, we always it's always obviously the mom is the main. I don't even know how to think about that. My wife, her health is at risk. My kid's health is at risk. I don't even know how to kind of process that. So for you, you said you didn't process it till way later.
Yeah, I think at that point you didn't even have time to think about what was going on. You were just like,
Trying to make sure everybody's okay.
yeah, not knowing what questions to ask. Like, you're just in it. And it wasn't until because Haley was still really unwell after, because she was kept in the ward that she was in for it was about 10 days before she was really kind of like able to like just not get back to normal. But she obviously went through the like emergency C-section, and when it's not planned, it's not a it's not a like it's not a nicely done job. You know, they're rushing it, and they're like they're not worried about you know like making everything like
How long
nice.
was it how long was it before you knew that he was okay, like, he was out of the woods?
They anaesthetist told me in the prep room because I don't know if he was trying to make me I don't know if he was trying to make me just feel a bit more comfortable. He was like, if you hear your son crying, like everything's going to be okay. And then the surgeon said, if you don't hear him crying, well, he'll be too small for us to resuscitate, basically. So like you want to hear him crying. So as
Yeah.
soon as you hear him cry, you're like, right, that's like a good sign. But then
They
they
took
just rush him. You don't get to see like didn't get to see him. It was just like everyone's like fast. He's taken out of the room. We're just then sat there like what's going on?
Ugh, dude.
Yeah, that was gonna be what I was gonna ask if you were even able to process the fact that he was there, see him before they took him to.
No, it was about an hour before I got to see him.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then they took Haley away as well. So then I'm just left just in a corridor, just like where am I going?
So they took her to, the recovery wing where she
Yeah,
was gonna be.
yeah, yeah.
So
Dude.
so then were you just bouncing between, were you able to see them, or were you able to kind of spend more time with your
I
son?
wasn't able to I wasn't able to see her. They took her down about trying to think, this is just over 10 years ago. They maybe took her down about 3 hours later, but like in a bed, like a nurse pushed her down from the recovery wing once she was like awake. They were
Mhm.
really good in that hospital. And I was within about an hour, Adam's specialist had come and got me and taken me, and that was me. I don't think I left his bedside for about about 5 days, apart from to go like the toilet and stuff. Like I would just be there until Haley could come down and sit in the chair beside the incubator as well. Because the first kind of 5 days she was pretty much like not bedridden, but like she was in like that much pain, like she couldn't really come down, and they were monitoring her still every hour because her blood pressure was so like up and down.
Mm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And 10 years later, now your kid's playing guitar?
Well, I don't know if he's playing guitar, he's making a rocket with it.
I saw that picture, it looks cool. Is he trying to do it? Or is it
Yeah,
just
his uncle Josh plays guitar, so he's fascinated with stuff like that. He's probably better at the piano than he is the guitar.
That's cool. I find that too, like, my kid also, if it's just if it's music or if it's like he likes chess, like, he's fascinated by chess, he wants to learn that, um, and I mean, I think kids with autism, it's just whatever kind of helps them stim a little bit.
Yeah, Adam's just anything to do with music. Like all day on the iPad or the phone, he's just Spotify. He's got a really eclectic music taste, but he sings all day.
Does he like the 80s? My kid likes the 80s.
Yeah, he listens to like Bonnie Tyler, like Fleetwood Mac, Oasis. What was he listening to today? Bee Gees. Like he's very eclectic music taste.
Oh, so it's not the same.
No, he likes all sorts.
He like changes it up so you don't get sick. So our son would pick a song and just play it over and over and over and over again. So it's nice to hear that you don't have to deal with that because he would play the same song. Is there a favorite? Does he have a favorite?
Adam will listen to Total Eclipse of Your Heart for 6 hours straight.
Oh,
That's boy of my heart. I love that song.
Adam he's literally listened to Total Eclipse of My Heart from as leaving the house, and this will PKO like this, driving to Glasgow, which is like a 4-hour drive, and that's the only song we've listened to in the car. I don't care. That drives Haley up the wall. Like she'll be like, "Come on, let's change the song." At this point, I just is what it is.
yeah. Our kid, and at the risk of not being controversial, his favorite song is what, the Africa song?
Yeah.
The
From
rains,
Toto.
yeah, the rains down in Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, all day.
Or
Yeah.
what's the other one? It's about
No, he doesn't like my music.
Oh, he doesn't like your music?
Oh
Doesn't like my.
Chris
No.
Westerfield. No.
That's not like my style of music.
Do you play instruments with him too?
I am not very musically inclined. When I was in a band, I was the vocalist.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good for you.
I would have loved to play an instrument, but no, I was not that way inclined.
What else was there? Anything else that he was super like fixated on? Because some people don't always understand. Like there's a fixation that happens, and the fixation can come and go. So like our kid was fixated on trains forever, like forever. And then it was the weather.
Adam's fixated on shop logos. Like he's got a logo book that's got like 5,000 logos on it, and he is just obsessed. But that's if he's not singing, he's drawing, and if he's not doing that, then he's like creating videos with it's like an iPhone that he doesn't have a SIM card in it. He doesn't have like an account, so he can't go on because he's obsessed with Google Maps, and he likes to go onto Google Maps and see places that he's got like what do you call it, eidetic memory. So places that we've not been since he was 3 years old. He's now 10, and he'll tell you the address of like where we took him on his when we were in Edinburgh for his like 3rd birthday, and it's like, how can you remember that? And then if I don't remember what he's talking about, he'll go on Google Maps and show me, and it's like, oh, we were there that was the hotel we stayed at on your 3rd birthday, and he knows. Or if you ask him, what did we do on like the 15th of July 2021, he'll tell you where we were. And then if you put that on your if you go into your phone library in your phone and type that like that date in, and you'll pull up photos from that date, it was like where he said we were. So he's like, he knows, doesn't forget anything.
Ours too. Ours can go on Google Weather and tell you probably what the weather will be in Glasgow in a week, or what's predicted for.
He needs to tell me. I'm always in Glasgow.
Yeah, and our son would like to tell, like, knew how to get places a certain way, and if you go a different way, before it used to be very upsetting for him because he'd always want to go one specific way. But that's one thing that we challenge him with, is to not keep life so structured every single day and kind of change up the routine. But it used to be a thing where it was literally like, you have to go out the driveway, you have to turn right, then you can only turn left at the second light. You had to do it specifically. Are there certain things with Adam that you have to deal with when it comes to
like that? We try and tell him like, no, like we're doing X, Y, or like we're not doing that today. We're going to go this way instead.
Yeah, and as he's has there ever been times? Sorry, go ahead.
Sometimes you get the kick off, but he's much more accepting of change now. He knows how to regulate his emotions a little bit better than what he did a few years ago.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask. Like, at what age do you feel like was the hardest for him, and have you seen growth since he's gotten older?
trying to think what the hardest. Probably between like I would say 6 and 9. I'd say in the last year he's come on leaps and bounds, but then during that time he was like the routine was properly thrown out with like lockdown, COVID. He wasn't in school for about a year, and then going back because when Adam started school, he was in a mainstream class with a one-to-one support, and then coming back from not being there for a year to going in that class with like 35 other kids, it was just too much for him.
Yeah.
So now he's in the class. There's only six. There's 6 students, but they're all autistic, which sometimes I think is even worse because they just bounce off each other, you know. So, but he's got a one-to-one support, and but he can tell people if he wants to leave like the room, and he'll go and work out in like the open plan area. So he's much better at actually communicating his needs, whereas before he
that's
wasn't.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna get to. We talked about our kids being nonverbal because our kid was nonverbal, pretty much nonverbal, or the way that they expect him to be nonverbal, right? Like communicating your emotions, understanding what someone's saying back to you. So he was pretty much nonverbal till he was like 3.5-ish.
Mm-hmm.
But we talked about like he could count to 100. He could do math problems, he could read, he could sing all the songs that you teach your kids, the alphabet song,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it was like he was nonverbal, but to us he wasn't. Was that kind of
Yeah.
how it was for you, or?
Adam, he was obviously. I sent you that video when he was trying to say butterfly, and he was only around 2 when that was going on. He got words pretty early on, but there's like communication like took a long time to come, and it's still got a long way to go. Adam's like his communication is not he's not a place where he can like make friends with kids in the mainstream class. Like everyone in the school's absolutely amazing with him, all the other kids, but he's not at a place where he can go up and start a conversation with the other children in the playground. But he's very good at communicating his needs, his wants, like his feelings with people that like know him and understand like what's going on, if you know what I mean.
Ken's in the chat. And Kenneth the Lap, my bad. I meant to tag you in that yesterday, and I tagged the wrong Ken. So my bad. I was trying to tag you, and then I had to apologize to some random Ken that I didn't know. And I was like, my bad, I'm sorry. But I'm trying to can you bring up
Which one? The big one?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kenneth the Lap, I don't know how we are going to handle when my son hits puberty. We are just going to have to wait and see. Emotions will always be on hyperdrive. I kind of feel like they're on hyperdrive anyway.
I just bought a book called Beyond the Spectrum. It's like and as much as I've never bought any books on autism, me and my partner I'm laughing when I say that now because I know PK will jump on that. Me and Haley, we've always just thought we know what's best for him, and we're like, the kid's different, and every kid is different, you know what I mean? But I went and bought one because we were speaking about that because he's now 10, he's getting that bit older. So I bought one that's a parenting guide to adolescence, and it's all about autistic. So it's about like how your emotions change, how your like hormones and everything. So it's more of like an in-depth kind of look at like teenagers on the spectrum. So I was like, I've just started reading that yesterday. It's a book by Richard Bass or Bass. I don't know how you spell it. I don't know how he says it.
Well, to bring up because Ken brought up the behaviors, I was gonna go there anyway, but we saw behaviors when he was younger. Now he's kind of out of behaviors, like he doesn't really have too many behaviors. But then, like Kenneth said, behaviors later when hormones start changing. Have you seen any of that? Like, did he have them when he was, or did he not have them and now he has them? And
he didn't, and then he didn't, and then he did, and now we don't get any of it. Like, to be honest, but he has bigger meltdowns in school. But I think that's the environment and how they handle things. So we're always like going in to like make sure they know what they're actually doing, because there's always something that's triggering something like that. It's not just out of the blue.
Mhm.
That's what we thought too, I think.
But it's more,
Yeah.
I'd have been more just throw something than hit people, and it's out of frustration. It's not out of like trying to hurt somebody.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like if he's got something in his hand and Saturn triggers it off, that's just getting thrown. Like,
Yeah.
and it's not like he can't like, and that's like something he can't even help, because when he does it and he realizes, he apologizes for doing it, and
Yeah.
he's upset that he's done it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that he has good support in school, or do you feel like that it's still a learning process?
Very much still a learning process in I think in the whole of, probably in the whole of Scotland, but certainly in the Highlands over the last few years, there's been a lot of teacher cutbacks, talking about budget cuts and this, that, and the next thing, because he had one-to-one support when he first started school, and now there's 3 teachers in the room, but I know there's like 6 or 7 kids, so it's not one-to-one support.
Wow. Yeah.
And there's
We
lots of things that happen, like horse riding on a Monday. There's swimming. There's loads of different things that they should be doing every week. But you're lucky if that happens every week, because like short staff and whatnot.
we
That
felt that a lot in his preschool.
that's the one thing that I was
Yep.
gonna ask you. When you see that in schools, for us, it was always like the school didn't set boundaries. Our son does very well with boundaries, and he knows how to react within, like, it's almost like they kind of memorize how this situation is gonna go. And if it doesn't go that way, then there's so if they know how the classroom is gonna work, which is, um, how our kid's classroom is now, so he doesn't really have behaviors. But if you just kind of if the teachers just kind of let them do whatever and there's no real structure in the classroom, it becomes frustrating for them.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And if they know on a Monday they're meant to be doing X, Y, or Z, and you get no prior notification that it's not happening, and then they go into school, it's like, yeah, of course that there's going to be some upset kids.
Yeah,
But
like if
they
they know.
email saying that this isn't happening tomorrow, we can broach that. So then you don't go to school expecting that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
That was a big thing for us, and especially for him. I mean, we just now kind of like he can regulate it a little bit differently now. It's a little bit better, but still there are days where if he thinks he's going on a field trip and then the field trip doesn't happen because of rain or storm or whatever, he'll have a heart attack and the
Yeah,
world's ending.
that's it. Because it might not be a big deal to someone else, but it's a huge deal, especially when, like, I don't know about your son, but Adam's very anxious about what's going on a lot of the time. Like, and he needs reassurance. So on a Monday, if he knows he's going horse riding, you tell him, "Yeah, you're going. So there's no need to worry about it," and then he's fine. And then you rock up, and you've told them there's no need to worry, and you rock up, and they're like, "Oh, we're not going horse riding today." It's like, good luck.
Yeah. Yep. You didn't want to let somebody know, so you're on your own. Like,
Yeah.
Is our kid feeling froggy today? Because if he's feeling froggy today, it's gonna be a day. Yeah, I get that.
was Adam diagnosed young?
Yeah, before he was even 2 years old,
Oh, okay.
which is
I
pretty. I don't know about in the States, but it's pretty unheard of here, and it's quite a. We've been really fortunate, because you go through like it's called NDAS assessment up here, and there's parents here that can wait like 4 to 6 years with no
For the
support.
ADOS test?
Yeah,
Ouch.
I mean, because our son didn't get diagnosed until he was 6. So he was first diagnosed severely speech delayed, because that was obviously the main focus. And then when we were also in the middle of the lockdown, the world lockdown, and so his evaluation was done on a computer. So we kind of were like, okay, it's not really how it usually is, because it's not in person. You're asking my 2-year-old to sit in front of a computer and try to interact with you, and all he wants to do is push the buttons or push the top down, and so then he was diagnosed with that, and then it was ADHD. And then once he got ADHD, then they decided to suggest an ADOS test and that kind of stuff. Do you feel like that, because you said it's not common for where you are to be diagnosed so early, do you feel like that the earlier diagnosis has helped Adam?
Massively, yeah. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had the support in nursery, like preschool. He wouldn't have had that support, like actually going into the primary, because they base it off like levels of ASN, so like additional service needs, and without that, you getting like you would just get nothing. He would have just been put in the mainstream class and just probably been labelled,
Good luck.
like, yeah, yeah. And he was, because he was born so early, we had a specialist that we had like a team of people that were involved for the first 5 years of his life anyway. So at his first yearly review, like we brought up, like no eye contact, a lot of like stimming, and obviously my like work with like LD, and then actually Haley was the one that questioned it to begin with, and I was like, nah, don't be daft, like you wouldn't know at this stage, and the doctor kind of said at the same thing, yeah, like you too early. And then we went in, it was like 18 months, and he was watching Adam, and he said, I think he might be autistic. And we were like, she said that like 8 months ago.
Same thing.
Before he was 2, we had the diagnosis.
It wasn't even our kid was 2, and Colleen was like, hey, he might be autistic. And I was like, no, he looks people in the eye. He recognizes his name. I was like, nah. I was like, this is too early. And he was already 2.
Yeah.
So it was.
Yeah, but for us, it was more focused on the fact that he was severely speech delayed, and that was the focus. You know what I mean? Like every time it was brought up or a concern, but we felt like that he wasn't speech delayed because we could understand him, and he was also signing. Like he was also doing a little bit of sign language. And that was, I felt like, what was the misconception for us, because they encourage you to teach sign language for your kids, but then don't allow it to be part of their growth or that kind of stuff. So then when they kept saying, well, he's not saying words, he's not saying enough, he's not doing enough. And I'm like, wait a minute, but the misinformation. So that's why even when they would say it at first, I was like, okay, he's just speech delayed. And then they were starting to say autistic. And I was like, but like, like you were saying, honey, like he is making eye contact. There was no other like things that
hint
were
or sign.
signs or anything like that. So for you, was it just autism that they immediately just felt like it was autism, or was it like a speech delay?
Yeah. Now Adam's going through ADHD diagnosis, and his specialist said, well, it makes sense because of yourself. And I was like, I don't have an ADHD diagnosis. And she was like, oh, I knew you were ADHD the first time I met you. And then loads of things that make sense about me now, like having that in the back of my like thing about my like childhood and like life since then, especially the last, I would say, like 6 years. Like I obviously remember saying that I didn't process like what happened with the birth. It wasn't until I was about 3 years old, and it wasn't depression, but I had like really bad anxiety, and I'd go to the doctor about it, and he said it was depression and put me on antidepressants, but it wasn't. And then speaking to Adam's specialist, she was like, a lot of adults that have untreated ADHD get mistaken for having anxiety or like depression. They get put on antidepressants when it's not that at all. It's that they don't understand their ADHD. But that's undiagnosed. But everyone that, like, when I've said that, they're like, oh yeah, that makes total sense, and they like reel off stuff that I did as a kid, or like even now, like what I'm like.
Well, Athena says, hey, John, she's been trying to get me to call you John forever. I can't. You'll always be on to me, but she says, hey.
And my name on YouTube was John Clark for the longest time. And then I got fed up because every time I commented and said, oh, pulled it up, he would say yawn.
Okay. And then Jake Chapman wants to hear about your mentor, the one with the teeth. I don't know if one with the teeth pause is a good thing to talk about. I mean, you can if you want.
They've all got teeth.
Okay.
He's talking about Josh Bridges' new teeth.
Josh Bridges has new teeth.
That's
what?
That's a conspiracy, Jake.
Oh, it's like, don't be chills with them. Like that's. never mind. We're not gonna go down that road. I want to. Uh, now I'm messed up. Thanks, Jake. Appreciate you. Mine went somewhere else.
Jake had a good one that year actually. Is Stoltman helping the perception up there? That like up here he is. Tom Stoltman was the world's strongest man, and he's won it twice, but he lost last year. But he's autistic,
Oh, okay.
and he's a big advocate for like mental health charities up here, and like he goes in like speaks to schools about his autism and stuff now.
It's starting to be. I saw who's the Kevin, the dude from shoot, he was on Joe Rogan, Kevin James.
Okay, yeah, King of
Yeah,
Queens.
King of Queens, thank you. He was talking about his daughter. She's autistic and all of a sudden developed severe tics. Like she's older too. She was kind of in her teens and started developing like severe tics. And then just more and more people are starting to talk about it. I was gonna ask you, and I'm just gonna say it because he put it out there multiple times, but how did you feel when Hiller said that he's autistic? Like for
I
me,
said that I didn't even heard him that he said that. I didn't even. That's the first time hearing of it.
I didn't know. I wouldn't have known unless he said it in the podcast with Athena, and then he just said it on Sevon's podcast the other day, and he's just so cool about it. It's like it doesn't it kind of is a superpower. I think Chris Beasterfield and somebody else said it at the beginning that it's kind of a superpower a little bit. Like there's a thing there that
I don't. It doesn't make me feel any different about Hiller.
right.
It makes sense.
It's just coding. Like it's the
He just says things how it is. There's no emotion behind it. It's just it's black and white.
yeah. And that's really how they are. Like,
Yeah.
that's how my kid is. He'll tell me he said 18 times all last week, "Mom, your birthday is the 8th. You're gonna be 43." I was like, "Can you stop telling that to everybody everywhere?" But, like, I can't tell him you're not supposed to bring up a woman's birthday or their age.
That's
But
like it's like any kid. They just say what they see.
yeah,
Or in my case, where I am right now in the care home, dementia patients. You know, like they will say what they see.
yeah,
Like if I go down the stairs and there's certain people that I used to be on the floor with, they're not here now. So if anyone ends up watching this, it's nobody that works for the company currently. But there's a lady there. If I was on with two ladies and she'd say, "Oh, you're on with the two fat ones," and I'd be like, "Like, come on, you can't say that." But she was just saying what she's seen. Or we've got people of different races, and like they literally just say what they see. Like it's
yeah,
not them. It's just they're very direct, you know. And it's like that's Adam. If Adam doesn't want to see someone, they come into the house. He just tells them like goodbye. Like that's it. Like see you later. It doesn't try and entertain them. He just tells them like goodbye. You know.
yeah, kinda yeah, absolutely. It is a spectrum, though. Gotta remember there are some that seem like it is a superpower and some kids that you have to stop them from banging their hand into the wall constantly.
Head, yeah. Yep.
Or yeah,
In my head, yep.
but yeah, their head, that's what I was gonna say. Like yeah, absolutely. There's ticks, there's the spectrum is large. It's not, but like we were talking about the other day, our kids don't look autistic, but then there are kids that do, and they need that support as well. And they don't get it, or their state won't give it to them, or
Mhm.
they're too much of a problem. And
Yeah.
that's also,
And also, not everybody is patient enough that, that's why I think that, and I know we touched on it a little bit before about having good support and good teachers and good therapists and having a really good village and tribe around your kid, because you don't always have people that are willing to be patient and be understanding and um, understand that it is part of who they are, but it's not like they're still kids, you know?
yeah. Hey, do you you said that you don't look at him like that, or you don't like how do you respond to him when he is wrong? like when you explain to him that he is wrong, like, "Hey, buddy, we can't hit people," or "Hey, buddy," you know what I mean? Like, do you we
He
don't go ahead.
he knows right from wrong. He obviously doesn't. It doesn't always work like that, but he knows right from wrong. We use a lot of social stories, so to explain things, for like appropriate behavior.
Yep.
Like he doesn't know what he doesn't know.
Right.
Like
That social stories thing is a big
yeah,
help.
I bought a
Yeah.
book. Literally bought another book of them. The school are very good with doing social stories, and they would send stuff home, anything that they thought was appropriate, like to be like learning. But I just went off my own back and just bought a book. So it's got, I think it's got about 1,000 social stories in it.
Oh, wow. Can you send that
Yeah,
information
yeah,
to? Yeah, I
yeah.
would love that. Are there any like major this came up in a conversation I was having. Do you have any major fears right now for Adam? Like something that we fear is that our son is very social, inappropriately and like scary when it comes to strangers. So he'll just walk up to somebody and be very like personal in their space and stuff like that. Like, do you have any?
It's the vulnerability of like not knowing who they can be like that with and who they can't.
Yeah.
I see you,
That
Jake. Answer that.
my my biggest fear for Adam is just like what happens when I'm not here. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you will say because I don't know if Adam will ever like live independently, like touch wood that he will, and he's like come on leaps and bounds over the last 10 years, but that'll probably be like always like that's in my head like 24/7.
Yep.
It's not
Yeah.
my partner. She's like so laid back. She's horizontal. She's like, we'll deal with that. Like when it comes, he's fine. But that's probably my anxiety. That's probably my like ADHD. Just like that's like my things. Like that's why I do so much with him because I want him to be independent.
Yeah, as independent as he can be.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. Yeah.
I but
Oh, sorry. I tried to
Yeah,
pull up. Yep.
Jake Chapman, what is a social story? Do you
Like
want to do it?
you use social stories. You use so it's like how you would explain to your child. Like what's appropriate behavior or like what to do in a certain setting, what's appropriate, what's not. But they use like scenarios, pictures, like we call them PEX cards, so you can actually it's just a simpler way of breaking down like situations and how to respond to them, how like what's appropriate behavior, what's not appropriate behavior, and
Yeah.
like that's like the easiest way to kind of explain it.
Yeah, like the
About
biggest social one of the social stories that we had when he was real young was like, don't start pulling your pants down on your way to the bathroom. You have to actually physically be in the bathroom before you start, because we would just see a white butt on his way
Waddle
to,
his
and
way to the
it's like,
bathroom.
bro, you gotta
yeah.
be in the bathroom first
Mhm.
before you do that.
Yep.
Mhm.
Another
Yeah.
one was our son had a very hard time saying sorry. So like if he, was playing with a kid or bumped heads with a kid or something like that, he wouldn't want to say sorry. So that was a big one for a while of, appropriate times to say sorry. I know it wasn't on purpose, but when a friend gets hurt, that kind of stuff and whatever. Have you had any major ones, social stories that Adam has had to work on?
Not really. He's very good like at understanding. Like he's very good at understanding what we're telling him. He
Mhm.
knows. Um, he's got a tougher job communicating with us than we have with him. If that makes sense. He understands when you're speaking to him. Adam will sit and read books. He's very very switched. He's too clever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wait, hold on. Before you go, Heidi would like to know, are you gonna do, oh my God, why can't I can't
He's,
pull it up. I see it.
he's just
There
Adam.
you go. She would like to know, is he going to do high rocks?
I doubt it. I
Does he
doubt it.
play anything? Any sports?
And he's got zero interest in sports. He's very much like he would probably be like a vlogger before he would do any sports. He loves making. Is he on single? You wish. he loves going into shops and like he'll go around like, hey guys, we're in Carrie's PC World, and he goes around and like makes videos of all the different like washing machines and he knows everything about like washing machines, knows everything about TVs, knows everything about like just anything that like he's like takes his fancy, and he like makes little like videos, and then he goes home and edits them, and then he uploads them. Yeah.
Okay, well, and she wants to know one more, so let's go. Does he feel at all uncomfortable sharing his son's story publicly on the internet for his son to see later in life?
Somewhat, yeah. That's why I don't want to like talk too much about like private stuff, but like given that kind of general idea of like what's going on, like I don't mind so much, like especially if it helps other people. But yeah, I didn't want to like make the whole like focus of like talking like about Adam and his personal story, but just more so like how I perceive things and like how we've handled things as parents.
I think that's what we do as parents, right? It's just it's a way of understanding them. It's different. It's different. It's not it they it's just they're different. And if you have to have the patience, and it's, again, I say it's patience every day. It's not patience for 2 hours. It's patience every day.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's all day. Like, it's patience all day. And they're
Yeah.
cool. Like, it's interesting.
I don't try and I don't want like the autism to like define who he is. That's why I don't like let it limit who he is. And like I don't like this will be the like probably the first time I've ever actually spoken to like other people about autism other than like family or like close friends, because it's just not something that I like typically bring up to people, unless they obviously ask, or it's like people that I like, you know, that know us, because I don't want that to be like who he is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you want him to be able to figure out how to navigate it by himself. Like, he has to be able to go kinda try to figure out to make friends on his own. Like, we're not always gonna be there to help explain things. He's
Yeah,
gonna have to meet people without us. He's gonna have to navigate the world without us. So, yeah, of course. But if we can make it, uh, understandable, or I guess accessible to people that don't know anything about it, or don't have an autistic kid, or don't interact with someone autistic on the spectrum somewhere at some point, then to me, it just gives a little, you know, hey, this is what it is. It doesn't mean like excuse whatever, but also, hey, stuff's happening. Like, but no, super cool. I appreciate you, dude. I really do appreciate you for coming on and sharing it. I know you travel. Oh, wait. What else? You prefer hog talk? Iron hog talk. What's iron hog talk? I know
I don't
hog.
know. I don't know what Iron Hog Talk is, but I do like Hog Talk.
Is that like, what was it, the Iron Games? Is that a different type of okay, cool.
I don't know that one.
Jake, does Jan prefer to wax or shave his chopper? I don't wanna know what chopper is, but go ahead, answer.
Chopper is your hog.
What was it?
Your chopper is your hog.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm
didn't
not
wanna
a
know. Wax or shave?
I'm not a waxer. That's what we should.
Anything else in here? Anybody else? Anybody got anything else you wanna go? We're, once, twice, 3 times a lady. Let's go. Colton Mertens equals Iron Hog according to Seth Rollins. Did you hate the Seth Rollins thing? Let me ask you that real quick. Did you see it?
Ask John about fapping around the house. What do you mean fapping? Like masturbating?
Oh boy.
I don't masturbate.
I can't move the Kenneth the lap.
Oh.
Can somebody else ask it? Ask John, fapping around. I don't know what fapping is either. Oh, it's masturbating? Do you masturbate around the house?
I just thought fapping was masturbating. Yeah, I
Oh
do.
my god, dude.
Fabbing. I don't know what fabbing is.
All right, here we go. Go, bring it on. Let's do it.
I do enjoy making small annoying noises to Jake.
Okay,
Jake's got phobia.
This is getting a little gay, guys. I mean, I know you've been sitting around 2 lesbians for a while, but this is sure getting a little gay up in here. Has Jan
Shot as.
has Jan ever heard of anyone getting caught having a one
Yeah, I got caught masturbating as a teenager on the couch. I'll tell that story if anyone wants me to tell it.
Listen, it'll be us learning something new today. So if you wanna the dudes
Well,
do that? Is that a thing? Tell the story. Go ahead, tell the story.
I don't know what the like satellite. Well, we call it Sky Television in the UK, but you probably call it like satellite TV.
It's still gay, bro.
And I was maybe 13 or 14, and in our house we had Sky TV in the lounge, like the sitting room, the living room, whatever you want to call it, and the Sky receiver is in the lounge, so you can watch Sky TV in the lounge. But we also had a box that was at the stairs. But whatever you watched on the downstairs TV, if you turned on Sky TV at the stairs, it would be on that telly. So in the UK, at midnight, you get the 10-minute free view on the porn on the porn channels in the UK. Television X. Jake will know what I'm talking about. And as a 13-year-old boy, I thought I'm going to stay up till 12, and I'm going to watch the 10-minute preview. So I think everyone else is asleep in my house, and I'm lying naked on the couch in the living room, and I don't hear my dad coming down the stairs. And it's like he tried to catch me.
I don't think he tried.
Right? And he opened up the door and flicks the light on, and I turned the TV off as the door opened. So there's no TV on, but I'm just lying on the couch naked, and I just pulled my testicles up and said, "Does that look like a lump to you?" And he just went, "Fuck's sake, Jonathan," and he just slammed the room door and walked up the stairs.
Does that look like a lump to you? That was your way of getting out of it? That's amazing.
He never spoke about it, never mentioned it.
I don't think a dude would talk about that ever again. Well, then, okay, fine. If I had to hear about that story, then I get to ask a question to the dudes in the house. You guys can answer it however you would like. I want to know.
Oh boy.
If you clone yourself, right? So there's like a Kenneth DeLapp clone, there's a Jan Clark clone, Philip Kelly clone, whatever.
I'm
And,
saying, I know. Yeah, I'll do it.
and that clone jerks you off. Is that gay? Because it's yourself.
No, that's the straightest thing a clone could do to another man.
And he said it with a straight ass face. I like it. Okay, fine. I know Andrew Schultz would agree with you. That is the straightest thing to do. Like, yeah, no, it's not gay. I get it. All right. I like it. That was the only question I had as far as since we were getting weird. Oh, Heidi Kroom, can you start the story over? Girl, you're gonna have to rewind that. That was I don't know if I can. Whew.
Oh man.
Also, one more thing about that story, if I can have a follow-up question on that, and then absolutely I'm good for the night for Hog Talk. Do dudes have to be butt naked to jerk off? Can you jerk off in your shorts?
Yeah.
Like, can you jerk off?
Where you want.
Do you need room? Do you have to take the shorts off?
You can wear whatever you want.
Oh, okay. So pants on, just jeans. I would imagine jeans would be difficult, but like gray sweatpants.
Nobody's masturbating in jeans. You've got to be
What?
a serious masturbating jeans.
Philip Kelly guys can and will do that anywhere. Okay, I was just listen. I'm just.
Chris Biesterfield said friction.
I don't know. I mean, when it grows, I don't know how large it gets. So do shorts have enough room in there? I don't know. I'm asking if you just have to be butt naked on a couch or it could be in shorts. That's fine. Okay. I'm learning over here. All right, cool. What's spandex? Just as long as it's not spandex.
Oh,
all right, y'all. At least we got weird for the last 10 minutes. Thank you. Appreciate you. Everybody. Heidi, thank you. What?
I'll come back on and just do a weird podcast.
We can do that too. That's fine. I have
Geez.
so many. Oh God, Philip Kelly. He's doing it right now. Pause.
You need
Okay.
to manage.
But yeah, thank you, dude. I really appreciate you. That was so much fun. And thank you for letting me get to know you. Thank you for helping me with all the questions that I asked you regarding our kid. So really do appreciate you.
Thank you. Cheers,
And
guys.
everybody, cheers.
Bye. It was nice to meet you.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.
And thank all you guys, Kenneth, Heidi, Jake Chapman, Chris Beasterfield. It's good to see you, bro. Missed you so much.
Yep.
And if I missed anybody, I'm sorry. I forget that dude that he was at the beginning, something pro CrossFit guy, Brandon, Braylon.
Tender
I did
field.
want to answer something he said because he said some shit about me not wanting my kid to know who my dad is, and that is absolutely not true. But I like you, dude. It's cool. I'm all good with my kid knowing who his dad is. He knows he has a dad and that the dad's out there, and he is he's an open donor. So if when my son wants to go find his dad, I fully believe in that. So Braylon Tender, no, that's not me at all. But I appreciate you being in here, and thank you for thinking that my wife looks like I don't know, a photograph from the 1800s or 1700s or whatever he said. Appreciate you, bro. It was a good time. So awesome. Thank you again, Eon Clark.
Peace.
Bye.
Peace. Thanks, guys. Glenn, thanks.
Bye, guys.
Deuces.